My name is Alfonso on behalf of Retumba, a Mexican website and YouTube channel dedicated to spread the news, report, and comment the new age of extreme music. Welcome to another interview. Today is with me three members of the band ALDRIG, which barely a month ago released their debut album called Yağmur, which I assume I'm pronouncing correctly. Sorry for any mistake there, guys. Thank you for being here today. How are you?
Doing
I
good.
think we're good.
Yeah. Bit tired.
Yeah.
Little,
As
it's
per
a bit
usual, yeah.
Okay.
long week recovering from a heavy weekend. And yeah. Yesterday I had a rough session. 2 hours of Brazilian jiu-jitsu
Wow.
sparring. So it was intense. So my body's dead. But now but I'm happy to be here.
Well, happy to have you guys here. I'm also assuming this is your first interview as a band, or one of your
Yes.
first.
Yeah, it's our first
Well-
video interview. So
Yeah, definitely the first video.
Okay, so
interview.
yeah.
so this interview is gonna be dedicated to know as much as we can about the origin of the band, the intentions, the goals for the future, and also for this debut album. But what I usually do to start the conversation is asking the origin it's in itself with each of you with music. How has it happened that you approach heavy music or extreme music as an endeavor or dedicate your time? So let me ask you, how do you guys remember your first encounters with music or heavy music as a whole, consciously?
Should I start?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was actually my nephew. At one point he came up with a I think it was Limp Bizkit album. Um, he showed me that album, and I was kind of, well, not scared, but I was like, okay, that's cool. I can get into this. But it was um, when he showed me the Iowa album by Slipknot, when I got really scared of that kind of music, and I was so intrigued by it that I was instantly hooked, basically. And from that moment on, watching clips on the internet and watching their music videos on television, I was like, at that point, I was already playing drums, but that's the point where I switched into wanting to be like a heavy music drummer, watching Joey Jordison doing all that fast and crazy drumming. And yeah, from that moment on, I think it was, what year was Iowa? I think 2001, 2, maybe 2002. Um, yeah, that's the moment where I was like, okay, let's do this.
Okay, so it's been over 20 years for you.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Still don't want to do anything else.
Nice. And in your case, Jordan?
Yeah, for me it was when I was like 9 or 10 years of age, I was listening a lot to Limp Bizkit, and then when I grew up a little bit, I went to bars. Yeah, like let's say when I was 12, 13 years old, we went to like this kind of youth bar, and then it was like I think every month it started getting heavier and heavier music, or like more extreme music. Then I just started playing music with friends, and then it was like going from punk to hardcore, going more to metal. I've like, let's say, also 20 years ago. So, but still interested in the hard stuff. So yeah,
I can see
so
that.
that was kind of my approach. Yeah.
And for you?
I think it's I think for me it was kind of similar to what those guys had. Like we had we had a pretty heavy skate scene where I grew up. I grew up in like a rural town in Belgium, and at school there were these guys like selling like these homemade copies of CDs, like compilations of stuff, and then you'd just be like, "Oh, I like Slipknot and In Flames and Limp Bizkit and CKY and whatever, and they would just like put on some more either punk stuff or other things. And I think the first time when I at a certain point, I think I got really into more like industrial stuff, like early Marilyn Manson and stuff like that. And I think the first time when I went to Grass Pop, and I think it was, I can't remember the show, but I think it was, yeah, I think the first time I saw Ministry live, and then that really like opened up my eyes to like really extreme music. And then it kind of evolved, like you get darker and darker, and yeah, then eventually rolled into, yeah, pretty much all extreme black metal and different iterations from that.
That's how it usually goes. Heavier and
Yeah.
darker, non-stop,
You're
non-stop
like, this is
intensity.
not sad enough. This is, I need more.
Exactly.
This music doesn't
I
hate
have
people.
to say,
Yeah.
I have to say there was nothing in between Linkin Park, Slipknot, Limp Bizkit, and Cannibal Corpse. That was for
Wow.
me. That was the next step because it was the same nephew who came
Okay.
up with the Cannibal Corpse CD and the D-side CD. He got into it. He's 5 years older than me, so he got into that through friends, I think. And then he showed me. It was a little bit too much, I have to say, but there was nothing in between. There was no hardcore or punk in between. It was Slipknot, Limp Bizkit, straight into Cannibal Corpse.
Quite the leap. Quite the leap, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I guess we can all agree that black metal is a great genre if you want to do your own thing. And I mean, at least I can guess that because ALDRIG is doing its own thing right from the start. I have to say that's why we, the blog Retumba, exist to discover this kind of bands trying their own stuff right right from the beginning. So I know that two of you guys come from Soul Grip, which is a band that I loved when it played and existed. But now, what was the goal coming up from Soul Grip, a band again heavy and in black metal roots with other stuff, to take the approach of ALDRIG? What was the goal or the intention to you guys coming together?
Well, so it was me and Johan who were playing in Soul Grip together, and in that band I was the main songwriter. So I was writing songs for Soul Grip for a new album. That was around the time of COVID kicking in. So I had, I think I had written 4 or 5 songs maybe, and so COVID kicked in. You know, and then for some reason things started to fall apart. Also in the band. So at one point, me and Johan decided to stop what Soul Grip was doing, and yeah, so we had this new stuff, these new songs ready, and we still wanted to do something with it. So that's when me and Johan got together again, and we were like, okay, let's do these songs, let's form a new band. But we also kind of, not in a major way, but we kind of rearranged the songs once we knew that it was going to be a new band. We wanted to go a little bit in a different. We wanted to approach it differently than we would have with Soul Grip. So that's, yeah, we songs and have it a little bit more mellow, I would say. It wasn't as metal or as heavy all the time. Yeah, and it was a very conscious decision, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make it more like, not like softer, but maybe more like more with like gut feeling, more like a emotional side, I guess. Compared to like Soul Grip, it was really dark and like heavier. And in my point of view, we should have, like with ALDRIG, we wanted to go more into like the softer and more like melodies or more layers.
But without losing the edge of the genre, right?
Yeah, correct.
And how did you guys find the vocalist for ALDRIG?
Yeah,
Well,
so
at that point, yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So at that point,
you
I
can
was
say
already
it.
in a. Thank you. I was already in Arson. That's at that point it was me and Jeroen playing together in Arson, and we have this mutual love for like darker and more, heavier music, and we were already talking before to maybe once upon a time have a new project together in the style of like blackened metal or whatever. So yeah, and then we decided to do ALDRIG, and we asked Jeroen if he wanted to try out for it, and that was it. Basically, it was perfect from the get-go.
So there was some sort of try and error to find the voice and the right tone for the songs, or it just come out natural?
Not really. So Gert and I got like the vocal demos, and for me it was spot on. But maybe it was more trial and error for Jeroen at home. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
for me it was kind of because the reflex when you get music like this, like if you hear the instrumentals, the reflex is to do layered grunts, like to go pretty heavy, maybe with like the occasional panicky distant scream. But the thing is, like, I really like stuff like I really like Matt McNerney, who like, and especially his work on Supervillain Outcast from the Times Gast. I really like Isan from Emperor, what Kyle is doing at like Nightbringer and Aklis, and so and I'm also like I also back when it was, and I still like the music, but still when it wasn't that controversial, like Daughters and stuff. But I also
Okay.
really like things like, I'm also a very big Nick Cave fan. I'm also a very big like into the more trip hoppy side of things, and to iterate that in metal, like over and stuff. So for me it was kind of like, okay, how do I take a step back and not go into the reflex of only doing deep like grunts and whatever, and I started experimenting with more of this screamo style, almost spoken word, super forced, like very, because the music is, it's and performing this is very, it's kind of painful, or it feels, it feels like this sort of a burden of like, it feels like relief, and I think the vocals had to reflect that. So you have to have unexpected harmonies, and also like this almost clenching, like this suffocating feeling of like like a dense panic or something, and I think it's really interesting to play with those contrasts. So it took me a while, but once I got like an idea, like I was where I thought this is worth showing, I think we found the direction pretty quickly, and then writing went pretty fast as well, writing the vocal lines.
Well,
Yeah, we didn't give Jeroen any notes at all. Like me and Jeroen didn't make a list where we would say like we wanted to sound like this band or that band. We didn't do that at all. We were just like, do your thing. And I have to say, I remember getting back the demos, and I was like, because me and him were talking a lot about, like previously, about forming a heavier band together. So I thought he was gonna go full on with the screaming and the grunting, because I thought that was what he wanted to do
okay.
in another band besides Arson. But then we got that back, and I was like really surprised. But it was basically perfect from the first demo.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah, I think the music lays the foundation for the vocal input of him. And something I want to talk about that he mentioned about the reflex, going against the reflex or against the muscle memory. that you have with your own music or your own interpretations. This is what I find to be special about ALDRIG, and for what I think is a great debut, because you go against what the audience expect sometimes. You know the audience, and you know how to surprise them at the right moment, and that's not how it usually goes. Most bands just do it for muscle memory, and again, it's something that you can enjoy, but it's not memorable. It's not authentic or unique. And I think that some of the people that so far have encountered your album, your music, can agree that this is unique. And my intention in this conversation is to try to find that secret ingredient to what makes ALDRIG unique, or at least something worthy of listen. So what can you tell me about that, going against the reflexes with your previous music?
To be honest, man, nothing. And like, it wasn't really thought out. Yeah, we didn't think about it too much actually. It wasn't like we have to sound new, or we have to come up with things that are new. We didn't do that at all. It was, like I said, we had those soul grip songs and we just rearranged them. And to me, it never really felt like, okay, this is like something completely new what we're doing here. It just, maybe because it came so naturally.
Yeah.
If we would have thought about it and we were like, let's try to come up with something that's new, then it probably will feel that way. But because we didn't do that at all, it never occurred to me that it might come across that way. It was only by the time that Jeroen started to sing on top of it that I felt like, okay, this is like, this is something unique we have here.
Yeah.
I think
for me, yeah. Oh, you want to go, Jordan? Go ahead.
Yeah, so maybe on the point of like bass, I think for Soul Grip, I was always writing bass lines on a bass guitar. For this album, for ALDRIG, I just wrote, I think 90% on acoustic guitars. So maybe in this kind of view, it was a little bit more melodic compared to like the Soul Grip stuff, or maybe like left and right, a little bit different compared to what I used to play. But yeah, maybe it's also only bass, and not everybody listens to the bass. So
that's correct.
Yeah. So I think for me personally, this is a difference. Like I was always writing on bass guitar. For here with ALDRIG, it was on an acoustic guitar, and in my point of view, I'm playing different stuff compared to what I used to write on bass guitar.
You wanted to add something? Yeah.
Yeah. I want to add that I think, like if you approach heavy music only with the mindset of playing heavy music, you miss out on a lot of opportunities to increase contrast. And now I'm like, for me, it was like, okay, if you have a clean guitar because I think that's something that the guys did really well in the recordings with Tim the Heated. There's a really, the guitar tone is very, very specific, and it's very, how do you say it, like the cleans are really like, they sound like a good clean guitar that could be coming from even a pop song or whatever. Like it's just, it's a good guitar tone. So I'm like, okay, how can we enhance this contrast by putting on just like really good clean layers of vocals, and which makes the contrast between the hard stuff so much more intense, and also going for more of these, because I don't have like the typical, I think, metal cleans where it's almost like yelling but then clean. And yeah, so I think that kind of made it a bit new, but like he had said, we didn't really think about like, oh, we have the pure intention of doing something different. It's kind of like how all these years of musical evolution came together, and I honestly think that the second record will be even better if I look at what we're making now. But yeah, that's for later.
Well, I understand that it comes from a place of honesty in your own input or creative input. But yeah, well, some months ago I heard the new Sprain album. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. But I can connect with your comment about Daughters and A Cave, which is a band that use similar vocals, kind of operatic, very most kind of a conversation ish with singing. And I think for us, the music enthusiast, is a continued conversation about you hear some point of references from things that you heard before, and then you encounter the band that somehow connects the dots in your head, the language or the vocabulary, and you go like, okay, this is what I was hoping for, without even me anticipating or knew beforehand, you know. And I think ALDRIG, although you guys didn't exactly set your goal to be new or fresh or unique, you create this stuff. And this is why I can resonate with what Jorin mentioned. Sorry again for the mispronunciation of your names.
No, perfect.
All good. It's all good.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band Sleepwalker.
Yeah.
Sleepwalker?
Yes, I
No.
think.
It has a Japanese name, well, letters, but the translation is Sleepwalker. It's,
I don't know that.
well, and he talks about how we are in the vocabulary or the language of stream music is just a continuing conversation, ever flowing, and well, not to sound braggy, not to sound pretentious, but I think ALDRIG really hits the spot for something fresh. And how much time did you guys spend doing this record? A year, 2 years?
You
As
mean
a band.
writing it?
As a band. I mean, well, let me rephrase the question. What was the first song you guys finished together?
Oof. Well, the first song we finished together was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
That was the first time we, as a band,
Yeah.
with the five of us, with the guys
True.
on guitar
Mhm.
in it. That was 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I because it was written with Soul Grip in my mind, and Soul Grip we were never a band that was like jamming and coming up with songs along the way. I just wrote the music part at home. Johan wrote his bass parts at home, and then the singer wrote his vocals and lyrics at his home. And basically, me and Johan, we recorded the album, the instruments, just the two of us, with Tim in the studio. It was. We didn't even have a singer. We didn't even think of Jeroen as a singer at that point. We were just like, okay, let's record the music. We didn't want to be bothered with like deadlines we were putting there for ourselves. We were like, let's take our time. Nobody knows about this project, so we are not in a rush. So we recorded the music. I think me and Johan, we had some chats with them about like who could possibly sing for this, and I think Tim also had some suggestions, but me and Johan, and if for some reason it would not have matched, we would have looked for somebody else, maybe some suggestion that Tim made, but yeah, so it was very separated actually. It was me and Jeroen doing all the music, recording everything, and it was months later that Jeroen sent his demos, and it was months later that we mixed the album. It was months later that we mastered it, and then I think a year later, the artwork was finished. So it was just, we took our time. Again, we have this other band, Arson, that we do, so we had already stuff to think and care about. on the side. So we just took our time, and yeah, literally the first time as a band writing together was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
That was the first time.
So the dynamic changed.
Yeah.
It didn't really change. It was more like because we still start from, like the how do you say, like, the methodology is currently still that Gert has things, like songs that he or like ideas that he recorded, but then we basically went on like a residency in a hideaway in a forest in Belgium. It's pretty cool. But because you're in such a sort of moment of focus, because you're in the middle of nowhere for 3 days and you have nothing to do, so you can just play music from morning or noon until 3 o'clock at night, and then just drink a bit, go to bed altogether, and wake up and just start the process all over again. So that was kind of interesting to see how people add layers onto it, and how like it also grew more organically, but without losing the characteristics of where we wanted to go to. So I'm really excited to hear more about that. But to come back to your previous question, I think once the music was finished, we recorded the song, like the final recordings for the vocals, from the demos to the vocal recordings. That went pretty fast, I think.
Yeah, I think
we did it like in like 2 months or something. No.
Yeah,
I
but
remember. Yeah.
Literally recording was like, I think maybe, I would say 2 weekends, like 4 days.
Yeah.
Something like that. Not maybe 3 weekends. I don't remember. And yeah, the place where Jeroen is at, that's where we recorded the vocals. But yeah, it was really quick. And like it was very interesting to me to come together as a band and actually do this, because I was never in a band before where we could write a song together, or at least like have a like a skeleton of a song ready, with literally everybody having their input. It was the first time for me. What's that? Sorry.
Having a valuable contribution.
Right.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like at this point, we have 5 members in this band. We all know each other for a long time, basically. The guitar, one of the guitar players is the nephew of Jeroen. So there's like this, for some reason, there's like a connection musically that I have never been a part of in previous bands. So it's very interesting and exciting to be in this position. I think we were there for like 2 days on that residency, and we wrote like a full song, just ready to go, basically. And that's it's very unique in my experience.
And it's a continuation of Yağmur in a way, or something different?
Yeah. It feels like a continuation, but at the same time, because there's 2 guitar players that are like now putting in their own stuff, it feels different, but still it feels very much within the concept of ALDRIG at the same time.
Let's say it's a different bubble. Yağmur, encapsulates something different in you guys.
Yeah, but I think also like every album should be like an iteration of the band. Like every album should be like some kind of like a time capsule for this specific time. I also think like the whole idea around Yağmur, which off, and in my point of view, like the next album can be like a totally new story or a new iteration of ALDRIG.
You were about to mention something.
So
yes,
Jeroen, maybe mention the story behind Yağmur.
Yeah, the thing is, I think for what we especially concerning lyrics and vocals on let's say mostly lyrics or conceptual whatever stuff on Yağmur is more introspective, and I think the next album will be also it's hard to it's not going to be like another it's going to be a different form. I'm going to put my phone on work. It's going to be like a different mode of introspection. It's going to be more of like how you perceive things around you instead and it compared to how you perceive things done to you or you've gone through yourselves. Which Yağmur is really like yeah, it's kind of when I tell the story about like it's a sort of a person or a character that constantly wakes up in a different dimension and it knows like it's driven by something. It's driven by an urge to find something and by a panic to find something or someone that it loves, but it can never get like every time when the character is really close, like it disappears again, and it's he has like these faint memories of what happened in the past, and then but he only knows that he has to like run and go through like look through these structures and try to find the thing that makes him whole again or her whole again. And yeah, that's kind of for me it's sort of processing a lot of yeah, grief or like yeah, things we've all gone through in the last years, and trying to find like a channel for that and give that a voice. And yeah, that's kind of, yeah, I don't know, ask away.
Well, that evokes anxiety in my mind. Like being in a dream that you can do the things that you're close to do it, close to finish. Like I don't know if you guys had dreamed this before, but sometimes you can move fast or you can speak out loud in your own dream, and this is something like make you anxious or angry, and sometimes you wake up like with that feeling on this undescribable feeling. I don't know if that's similar to your mindset.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. It's kind of like a lot of imagery in the lyrics, and is really also derived from real life. It's just like the way that you look at things. It's kind of I was like let's say when I'm I had this period where I would bite my nails a lot, and I would constantly find like broken nail parts in my pockets, and I was looking for a way to describe like this almost filthy feeling. And I think like suddenly finding nail clippings in your pockets is like it's super weird. It's almost like an abstract thing, but it can happen to anyone or whatever. And I think like a lot of the imagery that is it's kind of like how you look at reality, because the world around us is super crazy as it is. And sometimes it can give you anxiety, but on the other hand, it can also give you a sense of, I don't know, like a surrealism,
Mm.
in which you then have to find your place again. Like it feels almost like you can feel very disassociated in encountering everyday things that everybody thinks are very normal. Um, I was walking through Antwerp on a very dreary like weekday, whatever, and I came to like this place where you had these social housings and they were tearing it down. And I that's what I immediately I kind of like just wrote down my thoughts, because everybody found it really normal that we would just like kick these people out of their social housing where they've been for 20 years in bad conditions or 30 years and whatever, and they would just like kind of get displaced into like this new home because that's your place in society and whatever. And that's kind of that like it's those absurdities where everybody passes their car there every day on the way to the highway, and nobody really pays any attention to. There's a word for it. I think it's called sonder or sonder, whatever, and it's kind of like how you realize that everyone around you is living as in each complex of life as you have yourself. And that kind of led to like the resting piece, or like the spoken word piece in Hasret.
Mm.
and Hasred also translates to like an unknown. It's almost untranslatable, but it basically translates to an untraceable desire, or like to a super intense desire. But in it's you can almost not translate. It's like some words in some languages you can translate.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
But these are things that mostly are in the abstract. You can't quite describe it. But I relate to your last part, the last part of of your answer about feeling alone in a world full of people, especially in big cities. You know, every day walking, you encounter many people, but each of them in its own bubble, and this is something weird if you think about it, that we are disconnected, you know, without caring for each other, without giving a second thought to anyone else. And this is something that Geria, the Portuguese black metal band, touches upon on their last album, about feeling the loneliness and also being surrounded by people every day, every second of your life. And this is something of, it's something in the abstract. And funny enough, you Geria and you guys put a similar album cover, although Yağmur is more abstract.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Talk to me about the choosing of the album cover.
Yeah, Jeroen, you go for it.
Yeah, should I go? So it's gonna be a monologue. So a good friend of mine, Julio, we've known each other since high school, and we used to be like in very different cliques, and we kind of got like, how do you say it? We reconciled over the time, because I was, like I used to be very tough and very metal, and he was more like emo and more alternative. So we didn't really get along in the beginning, and at a certain point, like we started to understand, like where we both came from or whatever. And this guy evolved, like his art evolved throughout the years. And when I saw that painting, like in general, like his work invokes so much anxiety and so much pain and so much, it's very eerie, but in a very honest way. And when I saw that painting, and he also made the painting that's on our shirts that you could pre-order through Wolves and Vibrancy. But he, there's just, he was also like in my life a lot when some of the stuff that I speak on Yağmur went down. And I thought it was kind of like a full circle thing to also be able to use one of his paintings, and it works especially well because it's almost like a black and white painting, and Jorn came with the color, which is the Pantone color, in the background, or what the cover is generally made of, and that's like officially the ugliest color in the world. Like they use it on cigarette packets and everything, so it kind of. So the artwork becomes this kind of reflection of everything that you can possibly hate, but that also makes it kind of attractive, I think.
Interesting read. Yeah, I mean, the album cover immediately grabs your attention, and I think it represents quite well the color palette and the emotions in the album. Maybe this was just coincidentally, but you guys believe in synesthesia, the color of music, hearing colors?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
For me, I'm like, I write a lot of stuff on my guitar, and seeing colors with the music I hear is like the main glue or indicator for me to let me know when something works. Like you have this riff, you have this part, put them together, and for me it works very color based. Like, oh yeah, they have this similar kind of color vibe. It's weird to explain, but that's how it works for me. Yeah, that's how it works for me. And when that's the case, then it works for me.
Okay.
So yeah, I very much understand what you're saying with that. Yeah.
You identified that color beforehand to feel like you are in your right path.
You mean that I decide on the color to go for, or what do you mean?
No, like the side and the emotion that and the color that you are thinking of in your music, like finding the connection, the right connection, maybe.
Yeah, it's definitely about that. Like, I was thinking about what inspired me to write those riffs back in the day. I cannot tell you which bands or whatever that inspired me, but it's definitely all emotion based. And with that, colors come. Um, so yeah, it's like this one big clue for me that the emotions and the associated colors,
Mm.
that's what makes something worth it for me when I'm writing music. You know, like when nothing happens on the emotion side or the color side, then I throw it away basically.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And
So yeah, for me it's very important.
for this album, all the pieces are all the pieces that were written, or did you guys discard some songs or ideas?
Ooh. Well, for this album, we already made like it was me and Jörn again. We decided to keep the 4 songs that are on it. We have an intro, but it's not like it's like one big piece with Amarone. So to be honest, man, it's been such a long time. I must have had more songs, but actually now I remember we had this song for Soul Grip ready that we kind of picked up again 2 weeks ago when we were writing together. So yeah, there's some stuff from back in those days, but I'm talking like 2018, 2019. So I must have some more stuff on my hard drive, but probably didn't make it on the album for some reason because it didn't really fit for what we saw ALDRIG doing.
Yeah, and it was also because our songs are fairly long in time, so we were also thinking, already thinking for the pressing of the vinyl, so the LP, and you only have like X amount of time per side of each vinyl. So we were also thinking like the album should be like this song should be after this song and this song should be after this song, and to kind of push or to fit like some extra songs in between or after it didn't feel right. So it's better to explore like these 4 core songs and then work on them more compared to like adding or adjusting and rearranging the song structures to fit it on the album. We prefer to have these 4 rather long songs. And
I also want to talk to you about the reception of the album so far, the interpretations locally or I don't know, online. As you guys saw, we did a review commentary with my friend Dylan, in which we pretty much discussed what we think is special about ALDRIG or particular. Let me just take the example of the first song after the intro. Opening with these vocals, which are very peculiar for these atmospheres of sounds, and then at some point you have like the moment right before the climax, and when you expect the song to explode, you guys give some like almost the opposite, a melody, an emotion, when usually it doesn't go along. And I think, I mean, if this was the song that Jeroen, sorry, received, I can see why he also find himself in the necessity to come out with peculiar or specific ideas, different than usual. And well, this is a band, this is a sound that delivers what the audience expect, but not in a very formulaic way. And I think that this is why what we, the audience, appreciates about this band. So yeah, again, how had you guys saw, or what can you tell me about the reception so far about the album? Because also actually it came out very late in the year, which isn't usual to find these discoveries as late in the year. So yeah.
I think it went. The reception score is pretty good. Well, the reviews we saw or received were all very optimistic. Yeah, there hasn't been that many reviews or just buzz around the band because we don't have we have a label, but it's not like we did we had a publishing agent or anything that really pushed the album out there.
No Bandcamp, by the way.
No, Eli did. No, he was more like he's doing more like publishing for.
Yeah, we received them through him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, like, it's not that it caused a lot of like main buzz around the album. So it's like, I mean, the reviews and the reactions we've had so far are all very positive. So that's all we could hope for, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's always hard when you're launching a new band, but I think that the kind of platforms that we've gotten reviews from are really good.
Yeah.
And I think that, and we were especially surprised with, like with your review that you took the time to do like an 18-minute review of the record. I was like, I've never been so excited about a review ever. I think I was very moved. I was like crazy, and I was having a really bad day, and then I saw that, and I was like, "What the fuck?" These guys took the effort to do this. So, but if you look at everything from fill of sound to everything is noise to decibel, like they've all been very positive. They also like keep it in their end of the year communication so far, and that's like for us, as long as it's a lot, we can only hope to, like, we got a couple of cool shows already lined up for next year. We can only hope that it will become more of those, and that we will get some good opportunities to to share this record with the world. And yeah, I also think that like reviews are important. I think it's more important to be on like a couple of different channels and that have like a smaller or more niche audience. Like I'm just as happy with being in, like, seeing it in a Reddit list somewhere of like, oh, these records came out, like you should check out these 10 records this month. I think that's really interesting too. Like it will grow from.
And
we
probably
can't, maybe we should go on TikTok and be the next sleep token or whatever.
I don't know about that. Well, probably you guys haven't been received big noise because of the dates. Most outlets are focusing on the end of the year list, and all of that. So why did you guys decide to release the album in November and not January or February? Just wait 2 months, more months,
To be honest, I think that was mainly the label.
Okay.
Doing
but
that.
This is also like something difficult to decide because if you release it in the beginning of the year, maybe you don't get picked up by the end of the year list.
Right.
Most of the time, you're also too late for like the festival bookings here in Europe. And then if you release it more closer to the summer, then maybe this is not the perfect time to release like black metal albums. Then if you kind of release it in September, October, then there's like a shitload of other releases. So yeah,
it's a bit tricky.
So I think our label took like a really good decision to just release it digitally in November. So the physical release will be somewhere in mid-January, I guess.
Well, you can you can at least expect to be included in our best of the year list because he deserves the spot, definitely. Well, before we talk about what's the next and the future for the band, I want to ask you or mention something about being a Belgian band. I think there's something happening there, something special about Belgian bands, because every now and again a band pops up with very peculiar sound and fresh and modern, with their own input. So talk to me about how do you guys feel the local scene, the local community of bands, the local fans also? What's happening there?
Yeah, so I think we have like multiple different styles here in Belgium. I think, yeah, we're from Ghent, like our band is kind of half based in Ghent, and in Ghent there's like, for every time I know there's like always like a huge scene of different bands coming from metal, going more to rock or more like indie stuff. So I think, in my point of view, Ghent is like the place to be if you want to play music. But then on the other hand, I see also that there's like a huge music scene coming in Mechelen. There are a lot of like cool new bands starting in Mechelen. But yeah, I don't know.
I
I
think
don't think
maybe,
yeah.
maybe because the country is so small, like the musicians that are available, they tend to come together, forms. I mean, there's a lot of people in this country, even though it's like a small country. So there's like a lot of good musicians actually, and yeah, over time I think all those bands get to play shows together and then maybe form something new. And yeah, each time there's a band popping up with like a very specific sound, those guys maybe blend together with another band with a specific sound. They come together, form something new, and there's then it becomes an even more specific new sound.
Right.
Maybe it has something to do with that.
I think it's also because
I don't know.
There's a lot of,
to be honest.
I like Geert said, we're a small country, but I think it's really interesting if you look throughout the centuries, both in visual arts as well as music, the amount of like artists per capita, like real serious international artists that came from Belgium, it's pretty big. It's pretty like you go back to like the how do you say it in English? Yeah, like if you look at like the Vlaamse primitieve, Rubens, Jacob Jordaans, and then whatever routes it all takes. I think in general it's just, I think it's interesting to see in contemporary art like where we are, and to see also in music. Like I think because there is kind of like this competition, it instigates you to be better, or and that kind of pushes you, or at least does it for me, to see like, okay, we should outperform this person or band or whatever. And then of course, if you have a couple of really big names coming from your country, it's always interesting to see like where they're going, and
maybe the standards are high a bit. For example, well, what I was trying to mention, just to give you an example, Iceland as a country with black metal, is very peculiar with bands. And in the case of your country, Amenra, Oathbreaker, Bluetooth, lots of bands which shares a similar vibe, And of course, this is my perspective from the outside, but also I don't know, Sweden, France, countries that somehow share a sphere or a vibe of sounds. And I don't know if you guys have think about it, but I think Jeroen described it best. You guys try to be competitive among your peers, let's say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Maybe in an unconscious way, because to me, it doesn't feel like, oh, we have to be better than, let's say, we do it. That's not my main goal. I don't even think we sound like them or anything, but I think you put it best, actually. There's just a high standard, and maybe very unconsciously we at least try to match the standard. That's probably the best take on why that is.
Okay, I have to take this opportunity or this chance to ask you for recommendations for your country. What names can you give me?
Ooh.
Aside from
moment,
yeah.
So at the moment,
moment,
I think Brutus is the band to go. I really like Hippo Tractor, maybe also like Cobra the Impaler.
Yeah, Psychonaut.
Which one?
You know what's a good one?
Psychonaut, and then definitely our friends in Mulder.
Yeah.
Mulder. You know what's a good one? And I would love to play a show with them. Not sure where they're from in Belgium. Youth. It's YOUFF, double F at the end. Youth. They're crazy. It's like a Belgian version of Daughters, but even more scary. Less arty, more scary. more
noisy.
Yeah. It's very it gets in your head. And I saw them live on their release show in Ghent a couple weeks ago. Jesus Christ. I don't know why they're not much bigger. To me, they have like the quality. Of course, they don't have the accessible sound like Brutus does, but to me, they should be at the same level.
So the name is, I'm going to write it on the chat, is
Youth.
Oh, there's a chat here?
Why?
Oh, yeah, see. Oh, yeah. It's Y-O-U and double F.
Wait, let me...
Okay, the band I mentioned earlier is called... Oh, Joof. Okay.
Brain, okay, yeah. Spain with an R.
Yeah, I strongly suggest you to listen to Sprain, because his Daughters meets Nick Cave, meets a lot of other stuff that is really, really exciting.
Sounds very cool. And there's also this, they're not Belgian, but there's a band, and actually at this point we're trying to get some shows with them. They're called Luster. It's I will type it down for you. They're from the Netherlands.
Oh yeah. I
And
heard that in
we're
the new
trying to
album.
team up. Yeah, we're trying to team up with them to play some shows. We still have to book them, but they're like, to me, that new album, they're very they definitely have their own thing going as well.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear the debut of the band called Trance? I think for Denmark.
No.
Trance? Nope.
Yeah, is from the founder of Humps Records.
Okay.
Yeah, I recommend this band. Okay, now that we are in this part of the conversation, I think it's fair to ask you about what bands or names worldwide excite you recently, discoveries or your favorite sound these days.
That's a pretty hard one.
Oh man, to me, just like 2 days ago, I discovered Hex Festival. Oh my god!
Yeah.
New album.
It's crazy that you never listened to them before.
Never. I mean, I knew the name before, but I never even thought about listening to them. But that new album, I forgot the name, Polar something. Jesus Christ, that really does something to me.
Can you repeat the name, please? I'm bad.
Hex Vessel. I will write it down for you again.
Hex Vessel. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. They're the same guy as Grave Pleasures. The same singer. What was it? His name again?
Who did Doodhamscare?
That one.
Like I said.
Yeah.
Doodhamscare.
So that's the most recent one for me, definitely.
Yeah. Like contemporary, I'm a big Elder fan. I think they're one of the best live bands at this point. Like their guitar tone is fucking insane. I'm looking through my Spotify I
Yeah.
listen to a lot of
Take your time, please.
the new Aeternus record, Philosopher, is pretty good. Been listening to a lot of songs Ohia from Jason Molina. I've been listening to a lot of Slift. I've been listening to a lot of the Valerie Project, which is like a band from the guy from Espers. Been really listening to a lot of old Nagelfar as well. And then definitely Proto
that's not really new stuff, right? So all of that has been around for a while.
Yeah, but new stuff. I'm not sure. I'm really into Men I Trust. I think they have a really interesting sound.
Okay.
What else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love is like this band from the Netherlands is called ALDRIG. They have like this kind. I love them because they have like multiple versions of their songs, multiple versions of like stage settings. I love that they have like these kind of hard electronic style songs, but also like these kind of more into acoustic kind of sounds, which are still mixed with the electronic sounds. And I really love this. This is kind of like a dream for me to also incorporate like electronic sounds into ALDRIG, or maybe just write a complete album with electronic stuff, or just rearrange the songs into like this kind of more electronic style. So in terms of like inspiration, I like my to-go band is ALDRIG.
Interesting, because I recently spoke with Mitchell about the second album, which I think is great, and there's something to be said about finding the right language or unique vocabulary in your band, and making the effort or being confident about taking leaps and being adventurous. So let me ask you about: are you guys open to the idea of incorporating foreign elements of the ALDRIG sound of your debut album in order to come out with something new and fresh? And
yeah, definitely. I think again, I don't think it will be a very conscious decision of trying to sound new. It's gonna be about whether it feels good or not to incorporate, like Johan said, more electronic elements, or maybe some new vocal style stuff from Jeroen. It's gonna have to be about the feeling it evokes.
I will do a lot of yodeling on the next record. I will.
There you go. Let's do it.
I certainly hope so.
Do it.
Yeah.
Oh, but I think we were also writing, and then our guitar player Kenzo, he was kind of playing these kind of Slint Spiderland kind of riffs, and in my point of view, this is also really fitting and can work in like this kind of ALDRIG type of songs. So I would love to incorporate more of these kind of Slint style riffs. So yeah, I know I'm really open to incorporate like extra feelings or sounds.
Interesting. Yeah, to create new inflections in your language or vocabulary. Well, previously we talked about colors and being clues of your sound. So, if I could say your Yağmur suggests to me something closer to violet sound at times, that kind of vibe of nostalgic sound with the more eerie parts. So if you could give me a clue on the future of your sound, what color would you choose?
That's also the thing with me. Like, I tend to stay within a certain color. For Soul Grip, it definitely was red, because live on stage everything was red. The merch, everything you saw was either black or red or gray. And with this band, we we want to be more colorful, but when it comes to the music and to the live show, we decided for the last live show we decided to have like pink and blue and like bright white and purple and just
Violet.
violet, yeah, as well.
Basically.
So for me, I'm kind of stuck within that. And when we wrote that song together, I felt that way about it. So that's a good thing. If I would have felt orange, let's say, about it,
very
I would
opposite.
have. No, then it would be out the window. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Have you guys received? Okay, yeah, please.
Yeah,
respond.
no. I think violet. I think that's a really good tone. I think it will be a little more like iridescent. There will be a little bit more of a shimmer, like an oil spill. Like you really can't pinpoint the color, but it will like float through there. I think.
Yeah, like an evanescent thing, that loose form.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys received an invitation to play Rodborn?
Ooh,
not yet.
Not yet. But let's hope that happens.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Well, if Roadburn is listening, please book us. We would love to play anywhere. If it's someone's garage, we will do it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite festivals.
Yeah, to us it feels that it would be a good fit for the festival. Yeah, we don't have to. We don't have any say in the.
Right. Well,
booking, of course.
Let's hope that there's a future for you guys in that festival. Okay, my last question is if you guys could relate or assimilate or connect, just for the sake of answering, Yağmur, the ideas of Yağmur, to another piece of work that already exists, like a movie, a painting, a book, anything beyond music, which one will it be and why?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Jesus Christ.
For me,
I think a couple.
For me personally,
yeah, go ahead.
For me personally, it's The Great Annihilator from Swans. This is like an album. In my point of view, it's kind of linked to ALDRIG, but this is kind of like an album which I'm playing on repeat since I have ALDRIG in the back of my mind. So for me, it's linked, but this is like personal kind of thing. I don't see like direct links. I don't know that the other guys would see like direct links, but for me, this is like an album. In my point of view, it fits together. It has a different sound, but both has like kind of really emotional sides to it, like emotional draining sides. Let's say. So for me, it's like The Great Annihilator from Swans. Yeah.
Perfect.
I think for me, there's a couple of things, but I think on the one hand, the Camera Lucida from Roland Barthes, because in his book he kind of describes like finding this photo of his mother where that's the only image where he sees her as like his mother, like he's going through all her pictures and then suddenly he finds like this one image and he starts looking for, like he's trying to reproduces that feeling by going through more photos, and that's what he calls like the punctum, like the moment that wounds you. And I think that's really interesting because for me that reflects on a lot of things in life, but also like in general, I think the work of Camus and some Kiefer, Christian Boltanski, that kind of stuff.
If you can please send me the references of our email to just add the pictures in the interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sure.
If I would have to link it with something beyond music, I'm not sure which one, but I would say a city.
Okay.
Like the story that Jeroen wrote on top of the music. Before that, it was music to me. Nothing more, nothing less. It was just music. But the story that he wrote for it gave it a whole new dimension. And ever since, yeah, it created this kind of image along with music. And it's definitely, I cannot say it's not my hometown. It's not a town that I know, but I see some place, some desolate place, and like, yeah, some on a rainy day maybe. That's what I link to the music very much, and I think the main reason for that is that we already mentioned it, but the little spoken word part in Hasret, the song, that really is to me on the album a very important key moment to evoke that feeling, because that's what you hear. It's like you can hear the town, the city on the background, and you can hear the rain, or at least it was raining. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but there was a thunderstorm going on, and it's like, yeah, when I listen to the music and I'm not trying to find any similarities with other music, that's what I feel. It's like a city in a desolate place. Yeah, with somebody walking around feeling completely isolated. That's my interpretation of what
That's
I
what
see
evokes
the album like.
visually
Yeah,
for you.
Yeah.
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 Interesting. Well, thank you again. Thank you for your time. I appreciate sitting with me, having this conversation. If you have
Thank you for
anything
having me.
last to say to the audience, please.
You can pre-order Yağmur on Wolves and Vibrancy, which is our record label, German label. Thank you for supporting us. And yeah, finals will be there in January, and hope to see you all out there somewhere.
Perfection.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Thanks.
hope to see you again in the future for the next album, and have
We'll see you in Mexico.
Yeah. Get us
definitely,
a show, get us a tour, and we'll come, Alfonso.
definitely. I will seek out for that. Well, have a good night, and yeah, best of luck.